Greetings, this is a bonus video regarding the assignment guidelines for the first of your major speeches, the informative speech. In this video, I'm just going to sort of highlight some of the things from the assignment guidelines for the informative speech, which of course you should download and read and print out and sort of have with you the entire time that you are going through the preparations for the informative speeches. Use those guidelines and make sure that you're following them closely as you're going through the various stages of preparation for your informative speeches. The week of the speech, here in a couple of weeks, I will have for you both the grading checklist that I will use and look at and check off items and use as I'm grading your speeches. So you'll have the opportunity before you deliver and submit the speech to see what that checklist looks like that I'll use for grading. And I'll also have another checklist that I call a preparation checklist that you should, and when you're finishing up your preparation before you deliver your speech, check off items on that checklist and make sure that you've got everything sort of in order before you deliver and submit your informative speeches. And that's just sort of meant as an aid to you so that you can make sure that you have all of your proverbial ducks in a row before you submit your major speeches. And I'll have one of those for each of the major speeches, as well as the grading checklist. You'll get each of those at the beginning of the week that you submit the major speeches. So you now have a broad topic that you are going to be using for each of the three major speeches, and your first task is going to be to develop a specific topic for, in this case, the informative speech. So what you're going to need to do is brainstorm ideas for specific topics for an informative speech. And for this first one, for the informative speech, you're not going to be able to use visual aids at all. You'll have no visual aids, and so the topic that you come up with and decide upon for your informative speech should be one which you'll be able to speak about without the aid of any kind of visual support, other than your face and gestures that you might make with your hands. You won't have any other visual aids. So keep that in mind as you're selecting and developing your topic for the informative speech. The other thing to keep in mind is make sure that you are having a topic that is going to be at the proper level of specificity. You should have a topic that is going to be specific enough that you're going to be able to treat it properly within the time frame of a 6 to 8 minute speech. So make sure that you've got your specific topic for this speech pitched at just the right level of specificity, that it is not too broad still, but also not too specific, so that you have the right amount of material that you're going to be able to speak about within the context of the 6 to 8 minute time frame. Once you have developed a topic and settled on a specific topic for the informative speech, you'll go through a process of several steps or several stages in which you'll prepare the material that you're going to speak about in that speech. The first thing that you'll want to do after you have settled on your specific topic is to develop your specific purpose and your thesis. Those two types of statements are the next step in developing your material for a major speech like this. And you can look in the proper chapters in the text, as you can for all of the different stages that I'm talking about, for specific details about what exactly should go into that step in the speech preparation process. So specific purpose statement and thesis statement. Develop those next after you've got your specific topic. The next thing you're going to do is engage in research. You're going to find research materials or research sources from both online and offline sources. So both online internet sources as well as offline traditional library sources. You need to have 5 sources for each of the major speeches. So you need to have at least 5 separate things that you are drawing information from and using as research sources. And for each of the speeches, at least 2 of those 5 are going to need to be traditional library resources, which means that you're going to not be able to just do all of your research online by doing Google searches or whatever. You're going to have to actually visit a library and look up print books, print reference sources, and perhaps periodicals, whatever range of reference sources ends up being a good one for your particular topic. So you're going to go through all of that research, and then you're going to create, you're going to, of course, take information from these research sources for the content or the substance of what you're going to be speaking about. But then you're also going to be creating your annotated works cited page, an annotated works cited page, which you're probably familiar with works cited pages in terms of providing citations for research sources. We are going to be using MLA or Modern Language Association format for the citations in this class. And I will give you, direct you towards some information about how to do that. You may have done research citations using MLA format before, but whether or not you have, I will have some information for you and some links to some places online that will give you the proper form and examples of proper form for MLA sources or MLA citation form. Your works cited page will be an annotated works cited page as well, which means that for each of the research citations on your works cited page, you will have a brief annotation or 2 or 3 sentences of notes following each citation. And what I'm going to want you to talk about in those annotations is what information did you get out of that particular source? What information that is in your speech did you use from each particular source? And that's just an opportunity for me in the online context to be able to see what you're using your research sources for. Then you will create a content outline, a detailed content outline following proper outlining format, and which will represent the structure of your speech. The main points of the speech, the supporting material for each of the main points, as well as the elements of your introduction and conclusion. And there are examples or template outlines in your textbook that you should use to guide you in the process of creating your own content outlines. So you'll go through each of these steps, developing the topic and the specific purpose and thesis statements, doing research, creating your annotated works cited page, and creating your content outline. Make sure that you are following the guidelines on the assignment sheet for the informative speech. There's some fairly specific things in terms of how I want you to do those, in which if you're not doing it properly, you will lose points on those, such as a works cited page that doesn't have annotations, or an outline that is not following proper outline format, or other things related to those guidelines. Then you should prepare for the delivery of your speech. The delivery of all the speeches that you're doing in this class is extemporaneous delivery. Now, hopefully, having a few minor speeches under your belt, so to speak, you've got an idea, pretty good idea of what goes into extemporaneous delivery. In your speaking notes for extemporaneous delivery, you do not write out the text word for word or use a prepared text. In your speaking notes, you have only keywords and phrases that will help you to jog your memory as you're speaking and remember what it is you want to say about each particular point in your speech. And so you use those type of speaking notes, and then the exact wording of the speech you are making up as you go along. And so when you practice your speech, and you should practice it a few times, it'll be a little different every time that you practice it. And that is okay, because that is what happens with extemporaneous delivery. Every time that you deliver the speech, it's going to have minor differences, at least minor differences, in the wording that you're choosing to speak and to deliver the points in the structure of your speech. And that will help it to be conversational. Having a conversational tone is one of the most important things about the speeches and the speaking that you're going to be doing in this class. That is the quality of speaking that we are looking for, is extemporaneous conversational delivery. But it should still be structured. You have to have a structure to what you're saying that has introduction, body, and conclusion, and 3 to 5 main points in relation to the topic you're speaking on. I like to say that the speaking presentations that you do in a public speaking class such as this should be structured one-way conversations with your audience. Structured in that you have got a definite plan that is laid out as to what you're going to say in the presentation. One way in that, as opposed to normal conversations, until you get to question and answer session, if you have that sort of thing, which of course we don't in the online format. It's just a one-way conversation, you speaking to the audience without them being able to speak back to you. So it's one way, but it is a conversation. You should be speaking in a conversational type of delivery and in a conversational tone to your delivery. So then you're the point where you will be ready to deliver the speech, and as with all the speeches in this class, you will need to deliver to an audience of at least 3 adults. And the most important thing there is make sure that you show your audience at the beginning of the video file before you begin the delivery of your speech. Because if you do not show that audience on camera, I have no way of knowing whether there actually was an audience there. Showing the audience on camera is how you are proving that you did in fact deliver the speech to an audience. So make sure that you show that audience on camera, because if you don't show the audience on camera, I'm going to assume that there was no audience, and I will not grade the speech, and you'll get a 0 on it. So show that audience at the beginning of your speech, deliver the speech, and then when you have finished that, you will have a video file that you will upload, as you have been doing for your speeches, to the proper doc sharing section of the website. And you'll have a couple of items of paperwork that you will submit to the proper Dropbox. Both of those things, or all of those aspects of the informative speech, will be due by 11:59 p.m. on Wednesday, March 7th. It's the only thing we're doing that week, and even the previous week. You will have a lighter course load in terms of coursework in order to finish up and engage in the preparation process for the informative speech. So Wednesday, March 7th is the due date for the informative speeches. If you have any questions of any kind about any part of the preparation process as you go about it here over these next couple of weeks, please let me know, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you've got.